Okay, we are going to get started on our January 2026 Transportation Advisory Board meeting. We're going to do a call to order and a roll call.
Vice Chair McKee-Burrows. Here. Board Member Starrett.
Here.
Board Member Wickland.
Here.
Board Member McInerney.
Here.
Board Member Zortman.
Here.
Welcome. Board Member Palmino. Here. Council Member Popkin. Here. Welcome.
Okay, so next up on our agenda is the TAB Chair election. Do we have any nominations for Chair?
I'm going to nominate our Vice Chair, Gina McKee-Burrows, to become TAB Chairperson.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? Okay, all in favour? Aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So nominations for Vice Chair.
I'll nominate Board Member Taylor Wickland for Vice Chair.
Seconded.
Any other nominations? Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Anyone nay? Okay. Congratulations, Taylor. Do you want to move over?
Well, my name tag's over there.
I'll move you. I'll move you.
Changing the tag.
Oh, now it's really official.
Do you want to move
It's like we just moved over
I know.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, the Longmont Land Acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Longmont sits on the traditional territory of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and other indigenous peoples. We honour the history and the living and spiritual connection that the first people have with this land. It is our commitment to face the injustices that happened when the land was taken and to educate our communities, ourselves, and our children to ensure that these injustices do not happen again. Okay, did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes? Do we have any changes? Okay, can I have a... Oh, I have a change.
I motion that we approve the minutes.
Seconded.
All in favour?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is communications from staff.
Good evening and welcome to our new TAB board members as well as our new city council liaison. We just wanted to take some time this evening to go over some introductions since we have our new members, and we thought it would be really helpful to also do staff introductions as well as board member introductions. And we as staff can also do just a quick overview of our transportation planning or transportation engineering roles if that might be helpful for the new members. So with that, I'll pass it over to the chair to start introductions.
Does staff just want to go from left to right first of all?
I think you can start introducing yourselves first.
Okay.
And then we'll follow us.
Okay, all right. Should we go from right to left?
My name's Ross Starrett. I am a software engineer in my day job, and I prefer to get around by bicycle, and I'm sure we'll get to know each other more throughout the many sessions we have going forward.
Welcome, new board members and city council liaison. My name's Taylor Wickland. This is my 4th year on TAB. Born and raised here in Longmont, landscaper by trade, within the community all day long. So, welcome.
So I am Gina McHugh-Burrows. I am now the chair of Transportation Advisory Board. I've been on TAB for 2.5 years, coming up on my 3rd year anniversary in May. I am a everyday commuter by bike. I work for a small non-profit here in Longmont, and I'm really passionate about seeing transportation go forward.
Welcome to our new folks. I'm David McInerney. I'm in my 5th year as a TAB member. I have a career background in environmental and land use planning for multidiscipline consulting firms. In that capacity, I worked on a variety of projects that included transportation components. I'm a member of the American Planning Association and the American Institute of Certified Planners.
My name is Arlene Zortman, and I moved here in 2018 and decided that I wanted to get involved, and so here I am.
See, I'm Jim Palmino. I'm retired from a career at CDOT in environmental planning, and been in Longmont now for almost 5 years.
Good evening. Matthew Popkin. I'm the council member for Ward 2. I also chair the Urban Renewal Authority for Longmont. Before I was on council a year ago, I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 2 years, and our Brownfields Advisory Committee. I have a master's in energy and environmental policy, and previously, and actually actively do brownfields related work in my day job. Kind of rehabilitating and reactivating older industrial spaces, and I'm a member of the National Brownfields Coalition run through Smart Growth America as well.
All right, staff, do you want to introduce yourselves?
And a fair weather e-biker.
What? Well, welcome, board members. Nice to see our new members and our returning members. I'm Cammie Edson, the Transportation Planning Manager. We are made up of four. We have a 4-member team. 3 of us are here tonight. One of them is not, so I'll just quickly mention him. Ben Ortiz. He has historically been great at being a point of contact in the community for bicycle-related issues and bicycle-related projects. He does a number of other things beyond bicycle-related projects, but he was unable to make it tonight. He unfortunately was one of the victims of the bad gas situation in his vehicle, so his car is out of service and unable to make it to Longmont. So hopefully he doesn't mind sharing that, but we give him a pass for not being here tonight. I would like to call up one of our newest members, Liz Young-Winnie. She is our new Vision Zero coordinator for the City of Longmont, so we have hired her. She started a few weeks ago, so I'll have her come up and say hi.
Hello. I'm Liz Young-Winnie. I just started in mid-December as the Vision Zero coordinator, so I'm getting my feet under me. Urban planner and public health professional, came from CDOT in a land use and Main Streets position, and worked for the state for like 4 years at CDOT and Colorado Department of Public Health.
She's got great background, is going to be a wonderful addition to our team, and I think do a really great job as a Vision Zero coordinator. So I'll turn it over to Kaylee, the last member of the transportation planning team, and then we'll do transportation engineering.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylee Fallon, transportation planner. I work on a variety of projects, but 2 of my main projects at the moment are managing our Ride Longmont program, which is our new microtransit program. And then I'm also spearheading the regional e-bike share program, which is a program that is funded by a grant from the Colorado Energy Office, and it's in partnership with 5 other municipalities. So I'm currently working on those 2 large projects, but I'm also involved with our contract with Colorado Car Share, and then obviously the TAB. Those are kind of my big projects at the moment.
Good evening, TAB board members. My name is Jim Angstadt. I am the Director of Engineering Services. I oversee basically the Public Works Department and Engineering Services. It's made up of about 6 teams, traffic engineering, transportation and drainage engineering, our operations team, which handles both stormwater and roads, as well as our development review team is another team I oversee, and then our engineering techs as well, and our construction inspections. So basically, all infrastructure, roads, drainage in the City of Longmont.
And Kyle Howarth, Traffic Engineering Administrator, work directly under Jim. Our group is responsible for the daily operations of traffic signals, signing, striping throughout the city, as well as development review and for traffic-related items.
And so we did make a quick cheat sheet. It's a one-pager that you all should have gotten. It just has our names, our titles, and a little bit of background that we just ran through about what we work on, how transportation planning and transportation engineering kind of interact with each other on a very broad overview. So definitely it doesn't go into specifics, but just in general, that's kind of how the 2 departments function together. And then there is some background information about the transportation mobility plan, which is our newest transportation plan that was adopted, excuse me, by City Council in March of 2025, where you can find that on the city's website, as well as more information about the capital improvement projects, or we refer to those as the CIP projects, on the city's webpage that is listed on that cheat sheet. So it's just some good background information and resources for you all.
So I think that rounds out introductions, unless anybody has any questions for staff on who we are or how to get a hold of us. But if not, we'll keep going through the staff updates if you're, sounds good. Right, there's just one additional quick staff update. Just wanted to let you all know, so as a reminder, we talked about it last time, is that there is a survey open on the Colorado 119 and Hover project page, where if you'd like to give feedback on the mid-block crossing that is being proposed in that project, you can find it there. It is in English and Spanish. And apologies for forgot to put it in the tab packet up front, so we'll make sure it gets in the meeting minutes when it goes out with a direct link to the page and the survey if you would like to take it and or share it with others. And just that construction, well, not construction, kind of pre-construction on getting the road ready to move traffic over, that work will most likely begin in March, April. So to make room for the actual construction happening later in the year. So you'll see some additional crews and work starting this spring and prep to get ready for the bigger project. So those were just the 2 quick updates on the survey and current community engagement opportunity and the roadway. So I think next, we're going to open it to public to be heard, if that's our, I think we're there, yeah.
When does that survey close, Cami?
Oh, yes, good question. The survey will close on January 20th. It's going to coincide with City Council's open forum meeting, which is also an opportunity for public to come give feedback to the council on any topic that they would like. So the survey closes in conjunction with the open forum. Good question. Thank you, Gina.
Okay, any questions from Tab? Okay. All right, we're going to move to public invited to be heard. I think we have one person in the audience who wants to talk, and I also have an email. So I'll read the email first, and then we'll take public from the floor. So the email reads, I won't be able to attend the TAB meeting on the 12th, but I'd like to send a request that the TAB and City Council give serious consideration to how Longmont can be connected more seamlessly to DIA. The current options are far is what she means, and adequate transit opportunities for a city of Longmont's size to access the international airport are lacking. Even the RTD options making connections in Boulder are poor and far from seamless. Would it be possible for the Go/Via system to make trips to Boulder to connect with RTD's AB services? I believe that is outside of the current boundaries for the service, but perhaps could be considered for until a longer-term solution is provided. Thank you for the TAB's consideration. Okay. Go ahead.
Alex Kalkoffer, 538 Broad Street. I wanted to extend congratulations to our new chair and vice chair, and welcome to our new board members and city council liaison. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been an amazing board that I was able to serve on, and it's going to be something that I remember for the rest of my life. And I appreciate all the hard work that everybody does on this board, and I will continue to advocate, as you will, to provide service to the citizens of Longmont, to make sure that we're holding our TD accountable for the things that we deserve and paid for, like a ride to the airport, and also making sure that we have connectivity to places that we need to go, especially like Denver. And I want to thank everybody for all their hard work and all the extracurricular that you do to make sure that you're prepared for these meetings. I know it takes a lot of work behind the background, and staff, you are truly amazing, and it's been an honor to serve next to you, and I can't wait for my new role so I can work in the future with you as well. So I wanted to extend a welcome and a thank you, and I'm not going to forget you guys, and please make sure you reach out to me with any questions in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations. Okay, I don't think that's anyone else, so we're going to move on to information items. It looks like we have none, though. Okay, so next up is action items. Annual designation of posting locations is up first.
Chair, member, and board. So the city boards and commissions are required by state law to designate the official agenda posting locations, and they're required to do this annually. So in the packet, you will find where staff recommends that the board approve the posting locations. We recommend that the official location be the City of Longmont website. And then additional locations where the agendas can be made available. We did include the bulletin board located at the west entrance of the Civic Center complex, the Civic Center complex being where we are this evening, and then the front desk or reception area of the Development Services Center located at 385 Kimbark Street upon request. So these are the locations that staff recommends that the board approve.
Any comments from TAP on those locations? Do you want us to do a motion to approve? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. A quick question just on the TAB's past experience with public comments and input. I'm just curious, on what basis do you get comments from the public, and are they sending email feedback like this? Are they submitting online in other ways, or are they actually coming to meetings here? Anyone can answer. I'm just genuinely curious to understand the history here.
I would say a mix between email and in person. It really has just been a true mix from my point of view.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good mix. Maybe a third of comments are emails, but that's also probably skewed. We had a large number of comments at our last session in person.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve those posting locations?
I motion that we adopt the staff suggested posting locations.
And I'll second that.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next up is the 2026 work plan.
Bluetooth has disconnected.
Oh, I was like, oh, it's talking to us. Uh-oh. Let's see. Sorry, board members, I'm just going to try to pull up the document just to set the stage. As you saw in the packet, we sent you a Excel file that was sort of January through December. We're going to walk through that together, as well as what we called kind of like a parking lot, a list of potential categories that we could use to fill in the work plan. So it looks a little bit different than the work plan from previous years, but it essentially has the exact same content that was there from before. And what staff had done prior to prepping for this meeting is we went through and really tried to pull out what were the relevant projects that were active in 2026. And so on the Excel document, sort of the chart, you'll see those in bold. Those are our suggested timeframes of sort of when things need to happen based on timing of projects or timing of outside presenters. The other topics that are on the January to December outline are topics that we're making suggestions on, but they can be moved around. And then there you see a lot of open spaces. So the items that are on the parking lot are sort of the topics that we would like you all to have a discussion as far as what you would like us to prioritize or what you would like to prioritize either presentations on or updates on, so we can fill in the rest of the scoped work plan. The work plan is always a work in progress, always open for changes. So even though we will likely adopt the work plan at our next meeting, once we kind of go through and talk through topics tonight that would be your preferences, we can still always move things around as need be or as relevant things come up. For some reason, I'm not seeing the file anymore. There it is. Okay. So does everyone, see this chart or have this chart in front of them? This is sort of the January through December chart we were talking about. I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit smaller for all of us to be able to look at. I'm not sure if I can on the screen. That's what I was trying. Nope. It's not letting me. Sorry, y'all. Change the size of this. Well, before we get going, do you also all have the parking lot list in front of you to be able to? So sort of your pre-work was to kind of go through, pre-look at that, think through what would be your preferences and what you would like to see. So Kaylee and I kind of have a flow we'd like to walk you through. And one of the discussions where we thought it might be good to decide first is you had discussed or really enjoyed or liked having the study session last year. And there was discussion about having more than one in a year. So I think a good place to start is to consider how many study sessions you would like to use a tab meeting for. I think there was discussion for 2, so we sort of randomly assigned 2 on here. They don't have to be in those months. So I think the first discussion, because once we know that, then we will be able to kind of plug in the rest of the agenda or priority topics for the year. So I think a great place to start would be deciding how many study sessions the tab would like to have this year. And study sessions, like we said, could be open to digging into a specific project in way more detail than normal tab meetings allow. Possibly an approach, some sort of design option and an approach to how we handle things. It's sort of open to what you all would like to dig into more. And so the ideas are also on the parking lot that we recall that you all brought up last year as possible study sessions. But again, these are not limited to just these ideas. They're just here as reminders. So open to other ideas as you all discuss. And I think right now we have one in the summer, one sort of later in the year for now. So this one.
Well, thank you for the list. A couple of questions on the list. TDM ordinance. The TDM means?
Sorry, yes, any acronyms that we did not spell out for you, thank you. Transportation Demand Management. So that is when the Transportation Mobility Plan, the TMP, was adopted in 2025. One of the action items that came out of it and one of the subsequent council recommendations was to adopt a TDM or Transportation Demand Management Policy for the city, which would then inform or help guide development incentives to making things more multimodal and or working with large, big businesses on incentivizing multimodal options for their staff. So there's working with the business angle, and then there's also working with development. Okay. So we don't have a standard policy for the city. So the idea is to be, we've applied for funding to develop a TDM policy for the city of Longmont. So if funded, it would be kind of getting into the details and having you all give feedback in that process. So that one is a little bit pending funding and timing. But if all goes as we hope, that's why it's on the list, assuming that it would be a relevant project for this year.
So then I would put that under priority instead of a study session, in my opinion. Because I think study sessions is very much, big picture concept. Let's think about policy changes as well. But I do agree with roundabout first policy that we should talk about that. The neighborhood traffic mitigation program, I know that's being revised this year. So is that
And tab member Wigland, maybe it might be good just to your point, to just define the difference between a study session and informational session, just to make sure we're on the same page, language around that.
So in your A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So A, priority, like full presentation.
Yep.
Here with Q&A.
Yep. Oh, good. You want to go through them? Thank you.
B, staff updates. So, pretty like, our little simple 15-minute discussions is my definition. C, wait for next year. So I think, but the neighborhood traffic mitigation program, that's kind of being worked on. So I don't know if we need a study session per se, in my opinion. But I would like to see kind of a study session of general big concept design standards. Because, the devil's in the details when we build things. And sometimes, as we know, we build things and they've been approved maybe close to a decade ago. And standards maybe don't catch up. So I think that would be a kind of a good holistic discussion of how do we design crossing islands when they're warranted, and also understand simple angles of stop signs when they're warranted, center turn lane when they're warranted, bike lane, how large, street level, sidewalk level, intersection design. So Kaufman is a great example of experimenting with new things. So I think we can kind of grow off of that. And let's see. And then also RTD related, anything that can bring RTD here and some of their, what are the board members, to come here would be great, because we like to hold their feet to the fire a little bit. So yeah. Be a great question for them. So anything RTD, but then to get to the actual the planners and the board members to actually show up, instead of hearing presentations from you guys. Yep. So other than that, I think everything else is kind of for me, like crash report still an A. Wayfinding B. Most things are B's in my mind. I think Sundance, we should definitely hear about it, but I don't think we need to hear a full presentation about it. But we should know about it, and then the public should also know about it. But other than that, that's my 2 cents for now. So I'll leave it to other board members.
Just to go back to the first, are we thinking we want 2 study sessions per year? Or is that part of what you want to kind of talk it out and see how many study sessions you might want? Still kind of talk it out, 2. Okay. Yeah.
All right. My priority study session is also roundabouts and traffic circles. The other study sessions are all good options, and I don't have a strong preference between the rest of them. As far as updates, I really want to hear about Dr. Cog's active transportation plan. If we can get them here, awesome. If it's from you guys, that's great too. But I want to know I want to know what their plan is and how we are working with that plan to be regional as well. On that topic, maybe we can also get an update on the regional connectivity, the trail connections, if possible at that same session. Just give the day a theme. But we could also do it, whenever there's time.
And just to clarify, Board Member Sarah, are you thinking of having like Boulder County Trails Planner and like their plans come and talk about that?
I was referring to the trail connections, Weld County Road 26 Trail, St. Vrain Greenway, Union Reservoir
We had a
Trail.
number of got it. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So
I might have
wasn't-
skipped over one while reading through this multiple times or whatever, mixed a few in my mind.
we kind of thought that, right, instead of bringing each individual trail, we might have like a night where we can kind of talk about trails,
In
bigger
general,
picture,
yeah.
locally, regionally, and kind of cover trails in one swoop, potentially. Okay. Thank you.
I do think that the intersection site distance study is one that I think is a priority for me. That's one that I'd really like to see, and I'd like to see Clover Basin and Hover. I'd like to have a big discussion on that one because with the proximity to 119 and Hover and where that new regional trail is coming in, I think that intersection is going to be very important for connecting Longmont to the new 119 trail.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think it's noted on there, we're waiting to hear about funding on the intersection
Yeah.
site distance study. So depending on whether that gets funded or not with the current application or the current funding we're waiting for, we'd have to then pivot and figure out, what the next step might be if that funding doesn't come through.
Yeah,
So-
and I saw that all of the Vision Zero stuff is also dependent on Safe Streets for All funding. And so if we can get
Well, not
that,
all of it, some of
Yes.
it, just some of, yes.
what we can get out of Vision Zero would also be great to see whenever we can get that done.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
What was the distinction again between the study session and the priority full presentation in terms of times and level of effort and that sort of thing?
A study session is what we did it once last year, and it may have happened before, where essentially the whole meeting is kind of given up to that topic or two, whatever it might be, to really dig into it more. We wouldn't have the standard agenda that you're looking at where we'd have public it's sort of, the study session becomes just the singular topic for the evening.
Okay.
And there's no necessarily action items, there's no voting, it's just to dig into the topics and have the deeper dive discussion that sometimes you might really want, but you don't necessarily get in this setting.
Okay, and I didn't really do any of the research, but this roundabout first policy, what does that entail does that mean roundabouts are first choice for an improvement
That was one
various
of
location?
That was one of the ideas that this board came up with last year, is really to explore what a roundabout first policy could look like, how that might look like. So no details by any means have been determined. I think it goes back to Board Member Wickland's idea of really looking at the design standards and how Longmont is moving forward going to potentially incorporate roundabouts intentionally and what that could look like. So that would be a session to really kind of dig into that, as in something then this board could either support or not support potentially what might come in the Vision Zero action plan around possibly roundabouts or other places where we can incorporate potentially roundabout first language of really looking at those as a potential safety countermeasure when we're looking at redesigning roads or building new roads or whatever it might be. So it's an exploratory conversation around that.
Yeah, I think, well, just kind of drinking from a fire hose here for now, but I would probably like to see some emphasis on the design standards as well, intersection site distance study. And the the TDM.
The transportation demand management policy. Okay. And regardless of whether we get the current funding we are seeking on the TDM policy has been a council directive for us to look into. So, we'll keep exploring other ways to bring that to life, even if this one funding opportunity doesn't come through. It will still be something I think we can talk about with this board. The timing of when we talk about it might just change depending on funding.
Can you remind me what section 200 design standards are?
Yes. So, Jim, you want to take that one? But that is essentially the design standard section in our municipal code.
So section 200 is primarily streets. Section 300 is storm drainage, 400 is water, 500 is wastewater, 600 is LPC and electric, I think 700 is landscaping. And then 100 is just a general clause. I think 100 and 600 have moved forward and been approved. And then I think they did an urban standard that's called Section 800. That was recently approved as well. So streets is one that we know that there's a lot of interest in. They are working on the drafts now, and then when they're done, we'll be bringing them forward, and that would be part of why we would be bringing them here for a recommendation or for adjustments.
So I think going back to Board Member Wicklund, when you said you'd like to talk about, I think the 200 section is when that's ready to bring forward. That's one way we could activate that conversation with you all and give you a chance to look at it and give feedback.
Okay. I really like the idea of having a discussion about design standards for sure. That is something I'm really interested in, because I think, especially in light with Vision Zero and bringing in that, I know that the plan is still in progress, but I think we can still start having that conversation about how we can, we all know what we want to move towards, and there's already plans out there and ideas about how you could incorporate those already now. So I think having that discussion before even the plan is finished, I think is still appropriate, and I would really like to see us having some recommendations to council coming out of that we can say, like, we think we should make these types of changes to ordinances and policies coming out of that, hopefully. And in light of what comes up all the time, transportation to the airport comes up all the time, and I really think that we could have an actual real discussion about how we might make that happen sooner than later, given the challenges with RTD, but also maybe we can explore some out of the box kind of ideas, because it comes up almost every meeting, at least 7 or 8 times during the year, probably. So I really think we should start actually having a real discussion about how we could actually solve this sooner than later, rather than relying on RTD to come up with some solution that they will probably never come up with. So maybe that could be something we could have kind of maybe not a whole study session, but maybe we could have like a discussion, and you could present some options and we can kind of look at those and see if there's anything we could recommend to council to consider further.
And get RTD here.
And get RTD here as part of that discussion. But yeah, it's just RTD is so slow, and
On that note, I think too, we're going to have Boulder County come, and they're going to be presenting on the linking Boulder County, which is the Boulder County wide transit plan, because it's not only Longmont that is looking for a solution to the airport, but they are definitely addressing that in the county-wide plan, and staff are looking into options locally already. So I think possibly good timing for that would be maybe after we hear about we get the transit plan update from Boulder County too, then airport discussions can build off of that as well. But there's definitely work and discussions ongoing at the staff level. Sorry for the feedback. Internally already, and as well regionally. So it's not a conversation that's not happening, I guess is my message to you all. Yeah.
Okay.
And just on the calendar, or sort of a bolded option was that we said that linking Boulder County transit plan might come in February. They have asked to be moved to March based on their consultants' availability, so it will be happening. They're just needing to confirm whether they can make the February or March one. But it's looking like it might get moved to March. So we would just flip-flop some orders for next month.
Okay. I also would second having a study session about roundabouts. I know that's no surprise, but I really think that is really a high priority, at least from my point of view, for us to really tackle safety in a meaningful way more quickly.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments and feedback?
I will say, I went through this and didn't understand a lot of it, but anyway, I agree with the design standards. I think that that's something that we need to take a look at. Sundance, because I don't know a whole lot about it, I thought maybe it's liable to have a significant impact on Longmont, so how are we going to identify that and work with that? Definitely roundabouts, because what I see on roundabouts a lot is people going the wrong way. So it's a communication thing a lot of the time too, and letting the public know. Vision Zero, of course, I definitely think is something we need to take a look at. And I agree with transportation to the airport because it was there and then all of a sudden it was gone. So it's something we always used and a lot of people have used. So I think that's something we need to kind of take a look at too.
Thank you, Board Member Zortman. Yeah.
My A-level topics are the Section 200 design standards, the crash report, or Vision Zero report if it becomes that, and safe routes to school. I'd like to learn more about that safety topic. And there's one more. In my time on the board, I have formed the opinion that when all is said and done, a lot is said, but what gets done is what makes it onto the CIP. So I'm very interested in our first look at the proposed capital improvements program. And I'd also be interested in having someone who, you might call that person the chief budget officer in Longmont. I don't know if that would be the city manager or if there's some other staff person. But I'd be interested in finding out in general how a budget is created, and in particular why street tax revenues get allocated every year for non-transportation projects. So would that be possible?
So I think, Board Member McInerney, I think we would have the Chief Financial Officer at the city, Teresa Malloy, come in and discuss that and answer your questions on that. And I think we added in the schedule, we were looking at bringing CIP as we are crafting it for the 27 to 31 5-year period to bring it in April again and present what we're proposing and then get comments that can be part of that as we craft CIP. But in conjunction with that, we can certainly bring the CFO in and ask her to talk to you.
Yeah, I think that'd be very useful. Would that be our only look at the CIP for the year?
Well, board members, this is the work plan. It's up to you. If you want to add another component of that for what gets approved by council, we can certainly add that in.
Yeah, I recall in previous years, you asked the board to make a recommendation to council. It happened a little later in the year about whether we support or would like to change the CIP.
And part of the challenge with that is the decisions are already made. Okay, when we did it later in the year, which is why last year we brought it in earlier. We really should have had a follow up, but the schedule was pretty crammed. So
when does the budget get adopted?
It gets adopted in, I want to say, September. Or they go through their public meetings in September, and then they have the ordinances in October. By charter, I believe they have to have it approved by the end of October. So, but we submit our budget in April, May, and June for CIP. Mm-hmm. So we start crafting it in February, March. Which is why I think we have it in for an April tab meeting to bring it forward.
Yeah, that sounds good, because any comments we might make in April would have a chance of being considered by council. It would be nice to also have access to what looks like it's going to be approved by council later in the year, with the understanding that we can't really change it after mid-year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and, Board Member McInerney, I'm not sure if we got it under a parking lot list, but that was a great suggestion about adding the safe routes to school. Is it on there? But there is a very large collaborative project going on through Boulder County with both St. Vrain Valley School District and BVSD to do a joint Safe Routes to School Vision Zero action plan, and every single municipal partner is involved in that. So that's the idea, is kind of rank prioritizing all the schools and their needs. So as partners, we know where we should start first and who should start first and which municipality, where does it fall? Is it an unincorporated, incorporated? So the idea will help all partners be more proactive with Safe Routes to School projects moving forward versus being reactive to them all of the time. So there is a good effort, so we can definitely bring that forward as an informational item if you're interested, but there is a big planning process already in place that's it's kicking off now, essentially. And it'll be a multi-year project, but it'll be a good one.
Okay. I would second asking for CIP as early as possible. Just like I completely agree with Board Member McInerney about us having a real shot at having an impact on how that is developed and what projects you and ultimately end up moving forward with putting into the budget. So as early as possible, as whatever makes sense in part of your process. I would like to see that to happen this year, and a second follow-up as possible too, if time allows. Something that I have asked about in past is pulling out, it's related to this, how much the bike infrastructure is costing when new projects are going forward. Like how much does it cost to add the bike lane or those types of infrastructure, and often those numbers aren't possible, but I was wondering if maybe this year we could start pulling those numbers out specifically so we can kind of look at how much bikes are costing to add this extra infrastructure for them as opposed to the road part. So if that's possible in doing that this year, I would really like to see those numbers in when we talk about those in our plan. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I don't have any other suggestions. So does anyone else have any?
I just wanted to also say I do want to see the bicycle parking standards. I do want to see regional e-bike. I really want to see regional e-bike, actually. And I do, but the sparse schedule is, I think, a very good starting point. And everything else that I said that I want to see added onto that schedule.
Yeah, so the next step is what we'll do is we'll take all of your comments from tonight and we'll send you back a fuller sort of outline for the year with what you suggested as study sessions, what you suggested as information sessions. We'll plug and chug maybe good months for those, and then what might be more staff updates. And then next month, you'll get that in advance. So we thought then you'll have a chance to re-review that. We can make any final changes, but that's why we thought instead of adopting it tonight, we'll be able to give you back an updated version to review, and then you could adopt that at the February meeting if that sounds good to you all. So you have more time to look at it and digest it, and we can update it based on your suggestions tonight.
Yeah, just to follow up on Taylor's comment about having RTD board or staff, I was talking to Karen Banker, who is newly appointed for our district. I mentioned I was coming to my first tab meeting tonight, and she said that she would be interested in coming to talk about a lot of her concern too was the airport, DIA, Longmont to DIA. And apparently she's been advocating RTD and others about possibly originating the Sky Ride here in Longmont and then traveling through Lafayette and then eventually taking the same route to DIA as the Boulder Sky Ride route would take. but at any rate, she's happy to come here, and I don't know who facilitates that or invites her, but I'm sure she would attend if we ask her. So hopefully she will.
Yeah, and just for board awareness, there are 2 RTD directors. Karen Banker is one of them, and Lynn Geisinger is the other one. So I think both of them would be more than willing and able to come if we invite them. So we can reach out and extend that invitation.
Okay, great.
Yeah, not a problem.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Because in my 4 years here, there has been 2 times that board of directors have showed up. So it would be very, very nice for them to keep coming, because they are kind of the deciders in a lot of ways. I also would like to second the bicycle parking standards. Is that a time that there'll be action items or just informational? Do we know yet?
So Ben is writing that from our
Okay.
team, Ben Ortiz, and I believe he's going to bring it forward to you for you to get feedback on.
Okay.
Before the final version is done, that then gets brought forward to council. So I think you'll have a chance to actually look at it and give input,
Okay.
make your
And then-
recommendation for changes or accept as is, whatever it might be.
And then I would just remind that email I sent about the Crow manual on bike parking standards. It's only 140 euros. I know the city can probably pay for some continued education, but I think it's important to actually gauge what other communities do that are very successful in this, and something that we should strive for. The Crow platform comes from the Netherlands, but they produce a lot of their stuff in English to spread it around the world.
Thank you. Yeah. Were there any topics that weren't on the parking lot that you all thought of that we didn't necessarily put on there originally, but it's come to you now, or it came to you before you came in, that we want to add to the list?
Not that, Cammie, but I do have a question
ahead.
about one of the items on the list.
Sure.
It's towards the bottom, and it's the Colorado 119 BRT extension. What does that mean?
Yes. Again, those dang acronyms. Yes. So BRT stands for Bus Rapid Transit.
Right, I know
So
that part, but what's being extended?
So the extension part is the part that would be from Longmont out to I-25. So the BRT is being built right now between Boulder and Longmont, kind of southwest of Longmont. So regionally, the Colorado 119 extension is continuing it out east. So we get the other side of Longmont connected out to I-25, and then that corridor up and down and over to our regional partners in Frederick and Firestone. So it's that, let's not stop with the progress we've made of getting them to Longmont. Let's get them obviously all the way through Longmont and out to our neighboring partners out east. So the extension is just referring to the east portion
Got it.
relative to Longmont
Now,
of
if
Colorado
that
119.
happened, would it replace our Ride Longmont service out to I-25?
Well, I think part of it would be to start with the study of what would be needed to make the road safer, as well as potential transportation options, pedestrian, bicyclist, transit, all of that. So I think to be determined which transit options would cover the corridor. So for now, there's no plans to necessarily stop Ride Longmont out to the hub, but at some point it may make more sense that a fixed route covers it and there's no need for that anymore. Maybe they both run out there. I think it's a little premature to decide what would happen, but Ride Longmont is definitely servicing it in the because of the lack of fixed route service at this point.
All right, thank you, Cammie.
Yeah.
If you do end up buying that Crow study, I'd love to see that. Looks really interesting. I was going to make a general comment. If, as much as possible, bringing in outside information and consultants and experts would be ideal, so that we can really try and learn and gain more knowledge than maybe all of us in this room know. So bringing in experts on all the topics that we brought in today, from communities that have been really successful in implementing some of these changes that we've talked about, I think would be really great if possible.
Great.
Obviously it's challenging, but if you can, then that would be even better. Okay. I don't think we ever decided on the number of study sessions, which was your original question, Cami.
That's okay. I think this is going just fine and perfectly well. I think we just wanted to make sure we knew how much room we had left for all of the other information sessions, but I don't think we're running out of room at this point, so it's fine.
I mean, it sounds like roundabout first policy was
Definitely
big priority for many of us. So that would be one of the study sessions. And then it seems like we have some options for a second one, dependent on various different factors that we've talked about tonight. So,
and again, the
probably
options
aim
we
for two.
listed were just suggestions. You can choose any topic, whether it's on the list or not, to be possibly a second one if you would like to, or a third. So those were just starting point suggestions, not you can only pick from those three.
So I wonder if maybe we could have like a vote of what we want to have for that second study session. Would that make sense?
Sure.
To do that?
However, if that makes sense to you, that would be fine.
I don't know if we can like list them all out or today, or if we can do that next time.
Do you want to see if the board is in agreement of having just a roundabout first, just to verify? I think so, but just to make sure.
Yeah.
I guess my question for the roundabout one, could that be combined with design standards? Or do we want a full-on study session with hopefully a potential expert that I know there is one who lives in Longmont that might be willing to show up on roundabouts? So I would just like to know if we would want to combine two or just stick to a roundabout.
Do you have something?
I guess, do we have, does the city have current standards, specifications for roundabouts?
Currently, the city's going to use METCD AASHTO standards for most of the designs. We're not going to recreate our own for most traffic related items. Roundabouts traffic control device. That's where we're going to, METCD and AASHTO is we're going to pull standards for signals and other things. We don't necessarily recreate the wheel for those things. Or recreate the roundabout. Anyway, one thing I would just to offer up in recommendation is, a roundabout discussion, would for this board would be an educational item. It may take a little bit of time. If I would not recommend you try to combine it with standards, I think the standards are going to be there's quite a number of them, quite a number of pages and a lot of items to cover in the section 200. So that may be a standalone meeting or a study session.
And I would agree with that, to separate them out if you really want to dig into them. There'll be a lot within the standards you'll want to probably get into versus just the singular topic.
Obviously, the board's focus for the study session is not my opinion right now. And I just had a clarifying question on the roundabouts topic. Jim, you were talking about some of the standards around roundabouts in general. And I'm just curious, are there standards for some of the, I think they're called like temporary roundabouts or tactical roundabouts that are not permanent? Are there standards for that exist yet at this point? Either for Longmont or in general?
I tell you that, Council Liaison Popkin, I tell you the truth, I'd have to do more research on that.
Okay.
Or look to other communities to see what their standards might be on some of those items. I don't know if Kyle, if you have anything else to offer, you've seen it in different communities about those, but I haven't read the 800 pages of MUTCD to see what everything's in it. Nor have I read the 1,000-some pages of AASHTO cover to cover. Puts you right to sleep. But, I'd have to look it up. Really, honestly, don't have an answer for you.
I appreciate the candor.
And Councilmember Popkin, there are several options for roundabouts. There's here traffic circles, compact roundabouts, mini roundabouts, and traffic circles are all names that people use kind of the same, but they're actually different applications. So there's a varying level of what size roundabouts, what features you see, as well as there's any deflection. So there's several options within AASHTO existing, and they have been updated in METCD as well. It just comes down to the correct application and then the correct behavior you're trying to deter in that area, and then versus right-of-way drainage and all that other information. Thank you.
To kind of also talk to Councilor Popkin, great question. I think hopefully that will come up in the neighborhood mitigation program to quickly have, quick fixes that don't take months of planning and a lot of concrete to pour. I've seen that work in Denver, in Cap Hill, where I go often because my brother lives down there, of simple bollards or just a very small raised asphalt with just stone curbing to create a little traffic circle in a neighborhood. So very, very simple, and they did it overnight. So I think another interesting discussion that might be of interest is the NATCO versus the MUTCD and how we use both within the city. Could be a level B maybe discussion or a level A in my opinion. So the National Association for City Transportation Officials and the MUTCD. So
so we've actually got three to probably NACDO, ASHDO, and how they interact with the MUTCD. So that could be
I think it'd be great education for the public, for us, and then also how we interact with all three.
And how those are potentially influencing design standards changes. And
Yeah.
So that could be,
Would that be a separate discussion, or would that just naturally occur within our discussion of design standards?
That one could potentially be a good study session where we could kind of get into the weeds and talk about it and really kind of focus on things. It could also be an informational session where we spend a little more time presenting on the differences and challenges and pros and cons and how they interact. Sort of up to you how much you want to get into it. So I think whether we bring it as a staff update, do a more of a formal presentation as an informational session, or dedicate a study session to it is really up to you all to decide how much time, and you might have varying opinions of how much time you want to spend on that. So I think that's part of why. But that could be a really great study session or informational session if you want to have some interaction around it, versus just being talked to when we move on.
I think that would make a great second study session if we need to pick two tonight.
Okay.
So maybe Chair McKee-Burrows, if you want to just confirm with the board those two choices for sure, we can then work with fitting in the rest into the schedule as either updates or informational items. Okay. And then if you have opinions about when you'd like to do it, that's also up for you to decide.
Okay. So, and if I'm understanding correctly, study session one would be on, well, one of them would be on roundabouts, as we've talked about, and then the second would be on the design standard options, comparing the three, and where was that? Integrating it into the neighborhood traffic mitigation program.
And it could be that we talk about how it's integrated into other programs or other projects, not just the traffic or neighborhood traffic mitigation program, but how we might see that show up in Vision Zero or the CIP projects. I think those design standards are being used across the board in all projects already. So having a better understanding for you of how they show up, I think would be a helpful conversation. If it sounds like you all are interested too, so.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in favor of having the design standards study session, and I think maybe we do it before roundabouts so that we have that background when we go into roundabouts.
Any other comments or feedback on those two study sessions? Okay. Does that answer your question, Cami?
I think so. What we might consider is if we do the study session earlier than June, just as a way before you all get into the weeds of the CIP project feedback, that might be helpful. So we'll look at how to play with how to fit it in, if that sounds of interest, and then we can consider when and where later in the year in the summer, fall, where you might want to do the second study session.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other feedback or suggestions for the plan for the year? Okay.
All right. Well, I think staff, thank you, board members. I think staff has our marching orders of how to reorganize the work plan for you to review, and then with the intention of adopting it at next month's meeting. So I guess that just is moving us on to possibly items for next month's meeting. If we might possibly have Boulder County come and talk about the linking Boulder County transit plan. That would probably be a pretty significant conversation if they do come. Assuming they might have to be pushed back, is there a priority topic you would like to be next month as kind of plan B? We could bring back bicycle parking standards to you, assuming Ben's ready to do that. I think he's getting close, that we could flip those two, potentially.
Yeah, sounds good to me, if Ben is ready.
Okay.
Any other
Since
thoughts?
that was a topic that brought up that you would like to have input on or
Yeah.
to review, so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, then we will kind of plug and chug the rest in that we suggested might be good for quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and then you will have a more complete work plan too in your next tab packet. So I think that rounds out the discussion on work plan. So thank you for going through that exercise with us and getting us organized for the year. If you have any additional thoughts in the meantime, let us know, but we'll work on making these changes for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, next up on the agenda is comments from board members, and I think we'll work from right to left so that our new board members can kind of see how it works before they are expected to chime in.
All right. Thank you, staff, for helping us get everything scheduled up for next year, this year, I guess. Also, Alex, thank you for coming. It's been lovely working with you. Good luck in your future endeavors. And then the comment on the airport, I would encourage Sandy McCarthy, if she's able to hear this, to also send this email to RTD. Send it to Director Karen Banker. She will get back to you, and she needs to have this mountain of, hey, people are asking for this, when she goes to the RTD board and says, hey, we need Skyride service in Longmont. So please also send it to her. She needs it as ammunition. And welcome to our new board members. You really got thrown into the thick of it, but I hope that by the next 2 or 3 sessions you get the feel for it, and it's smoother sailing once you get into the jargon.
Well, I really don't know what else I have to say. So, but yeah, thanks again always to staff. Good luck sorting through all the parking lot items over the next month. And also, congrats to Alex. I look forward to working with you in your new role. So, and welcome new board members.
Once again, welcome new board members and Council Liaison Popkin. Once again, congratulations, Alex. On October 28th last year, our board sent a delegation to the RTD board meeting in Denver. And one of the issues we addressed was the finishing Fast Track's draft report that had been issued by RTD. Since then, RTD has issued the final report. I reviewed it and I have some comments to share with you. Not much has changed from the draft to the final report. It does not comply with the state's legislative mandate to explain how RTD will fulfill its fast track commitments by 2034. Instead, it explains why RTD cannot do that. The final report identifies a $1.6 billion capital cost shortfall to complete the 4 unfinished fast track corridors. To complete Northwest Rail alone, that's the corridor that would come to Boulder and Longmont, the shortfall is identified as approximately $206 million. Here's the conclusion of the final report summary section, and I'm quoting it. RTD recognizes that this report is a first step in moving forward with completing the Fast Tracks plan, and the agency looks forward to